Hi, I'm Daniel Andrews, owner and creator of the DAN Show, and welcome to my breakdown of the Vegas Raiders. It's still weird calling them the Vegas Raiders, but I'll get used to it. So listen, if you're new to my channel, I've got one simple question for you. Do you want to talk football? Do you want to talk Raiders? Because if so, this is the only thing I do. So you're in the right place. There's this button right around here. See it, see it, see it. Bam! Hit that button. Become one of the greatest people on planet Earth. Now here's how my breakdown of the Raiders is going to go. I'm going to start off with talking about what I like about the Raiders. Then I'm going to talk about what I don't like, but stick around to the very end where I talk about the Vegas over-under for the Vegas Raiders and if I am going to put action down on the Raiders. So let's start with what I like about the Vegas Raiders. First thing I like about the Raiders is they're finally in Vegas. No team that's ever moved from one city to another has ever had success that last year in their city. I mean, they just haven't. It's a difficult situation to put yourself in. I mean, take a look at the Chargers, take a look at the Rams. Their last years in their city, they just had bad seasons, and that's just how it is. I mean, when you're moving away from a fan base and you don't even have the support of your own home fans, it's very difficult. But Vegas, I was really surprised. If you follow me on social media, when I went to Vegas, I took some pictures of Westgate. They have shops of Raiders gear, and Vegas is really ready for the Raiders. It's a shame that we have this pandemic going around for other reasons besides sports, obviously. But Vegas is really ready for the Raiders, and the stadium looks awesome. I've seen tons of pictures of it. It looks fantastic. It's really a shame that they're not packed them full of fans. Hopefully, things will come back to normal sooner than later, because I really think that the Raiders finally will have a really great home, and I think the NFL is really ready for a franchise to be in Vegas. I personally, as a Chiefs fan, I've never been to a opposing game. I've had season tickets since '89. No way in hell. I would not even accept free airfare and free tickets to Oakland, but will I spend a lot of money to go to Vegas? Absolutely. So it's something I'm excited about, but the Raiders should be excited about too, because they finally have a legitimate home. All this moving's out of the way. Second thing I like about the Raiders is they hired Rod Marinelli. He was the defensive coordinator from Dallas. He's now the defensive line coach. He's one of the top defensive line coaches in football. This is a great move. And for those of you who don't know his story, he was the Detroit Lions head coach when they went 0-16. So more than likely, he'll never get another job as an NFL head coach, but he's an excellent coach and he's a great defensive coordinator. He's just going to be a defensive line coach. He's one of the best defensive line coaches in football. And if you take a look at the Raiders, you have Clyde Farrell and Max Crosby. They played defensive ends as rookies last year. Then you have Maurice Hurst and P.J. Hall, which were defensive tackles in the 2018 draft. You also have Arden Key, defensive end, in 2018. So I just named 5 players that were either rookies or second year or going to be second year players playing on this defensive line that are going to benefit greatly from Rod Marinelli. He's one of the best defensive line coaches in football, maybe the best defensive line coach. So you have a lot of young talent on that defensive line. This defensive line could be one of the best defensive lines in football. I'm not exaggerating when I say this. Rod Marinelli is an excellent coach. It would not surprise me in 2021 if he leaves this job to become a defensive coordinator for another team. The third thing that I want to talk about, and it's also kind of coincides with Rod Marinelli, is the free agent, specifically Malik Collins, who you got from Dallas. He was defensive coordinator in Dallas. He brings one of his guys to play defensive tackle, a position that really struggled for the Raiders. So I think that defensive tackle position, now you get player upgrade, you get a coach and player fit. So that defensive tackle position, I think, is really going to be upgraded. But look at the free agents who they signed. All right, first you get Malik Collins, big boost. Marcus Mariota, smart move. Then you spent $56 million on linebackers, Littleton and Kowalski, smart pickups. And then I'm not going to go through all the free agent acquisitions, but you made a lot of acquisitions, and this was the plan from Gruden and Mayock all along when Gruden and Mayock got together is that they were just going to start at the very beginning. They're just going to blow this team up. If you were a player on this old Raider team, you're probably gone. There's only a few guys remaining because you're building this team with a lot of youth and a lot of free agent players. I like what they're doing, and it's a smart move. There's lots of turnover, and so far it's worked out really good. They got the players that they want. They have a blueprint. They have a plan, and they're sticking to it, and it looks like it's working. Fourth and final thing I like about the Raiders is the wide receiver upgrade, both through the draft and free agency. Your leading wide receiver last year was Hunter Renfrow, who was a fifth-round rookie, and he had 49 catches. And he only started 4 games. And so what they did is they drafted 3 receivers. Now, Lynn Bolden, I think, will end up as a receiver. He's listed on our lads as a running back. But in college, he played wildcat, quarterback, receiver, kick returner, running back. He's going to do a lot of different things. I would not surprise me even lines up at quarterback a few times this season, but I think he's going to end up playing primarily at wide receiver, or he'll be a receiving back in the backfield. But you also drafted Henry Ruggs. Brian Edwards, I have a huge man crush on coming into the draft. I watch him play at South Carolina. He is a very good player. But you also got, remember you traded for Zay Jones. Terrell Williams had foot issues, was injured almost the whole season. Nelson Aguilar, who never really lived up to being a first-round pick in Philly, comes back to California. Remember, he went to USC and had a really good college career. So you made additions through free agency and the draft to upgrade that wide receiver position. When your leading receiver has 49 catches, you got to improve that. The Raiders did, and they improved it a lot, so I really like what they did. So just to recap, what I like about the Raiders is they're finally in Vegas. Rod Marinelli as your defensive line coach is huge. I also like your free agent acquisitions. You remember Malik Collins came with Rod Marinelli from Dallas, so that's also huge. Mariota and all the other free agents that they brought in to the Vegas Raiders are going to improve this team. The wide receiver upgrade is the final thing. So now let's talk about what I don't like about the Raiders. All right, so what I don't like about the Raiders here, first thing is the quarterback position. I was decently high on Derek Carr, but I wasn't high on Derek Carr and Gruden really meshing. Gruden's always been somebody who's liked veteran quarterbacks, even back to when he was offensive coordinator at Philly. He benched Randall Cunningham for Bubby Brister, who was a former starter in Pittsburgh. But everywhere he's gone, he's always like cast off it's better. When he took over in Oakland, he liked Gannon. When he took over at Tampa Bay, he liked Brad Johnson. So signing Mariota, it kind of leads me to believe that the Carr-Gruden marriage isn't really working out. You don't sign a guy like Mariota, which, by the way, if you remember when Gruden was with ESPN, he was covering the draft, he gushed over how much he liked Mariota. So I think the clock's ticking on how long Carr's going to be the starting quarterback in Vegas. He may start all 16 games again, but his position's not set in stone. If it was, you don't pick up a guy like Mariota. Second thing I don't like is the youth and free agency on defense. If you count Abram, who's a rookie last year, he got hurt. If you remember watching Hard Knocks, they were really high on Abram. And when he got hurt, you could just see the coaching staff it really took the wind out of their sails. I mean, they were really planning on this kid having a huge impact. But let's say you bring Abram back. If you count him as a new starter, I'm looking at 6 new starters. And then you also have Mullen, Crosby, and Farrell. They're all second-year players. So you have a combination of youth and free agency. So here's the thing. When you have a veteran player, a veteran established player, and you bring in a bunch of free agents and rookies, you have a leader that you can look to. When I look at this defense, I don't see a leader. I see a bunch of new pieces in play. So it's going to be a difficult transition, especially this year without the OTAs and mini camps, because you have a bunch of new faces and a bunch of youth. Now, the foundation's good, but I'm talking 2020. There's a chance that this defense could be really bad because you have all these new pieces in play. Third thing I don't like about the Raiders is the wide receiver youth. It was funny because when I was doing my mock draft, I kept telling everybody the Raiders are not going to pick a receiver in round one. Gruden's never done this. So what do? They pick a receiver in round one. But not only did they pick a receiver in round one, they picked a receiver in round three and another receiver in round three. Now keep in mind, Bolden's going to play Friday at different positions, but ultimately he'll end up probably as a receiver or as a receiving back out of the backfield. But you have that and some free agent wide receivers. You have to understand this is a complex West Coast system. Now, Renfro had success last year as a rookie of 49 receptions. It doesn't mean that these other three guys are going to catch on as fast. This West Coast system is difficult, and they need to contribute right away. It is a question mark because Gruden hasn't really been a guy who's like rookie wide receivers. Look at his past. When he was with the Raiders, first time as head coach, what does he do? He brings in Jerry Rice. When he goes to Tampa Bay, he brings in Keenan McCardell, then Tim Brown. What did he do last year? He brought in Antonio Brown. He likes veteran receivers, so they're doing something different. So it's going to be questionable whether this works or not. And speaking of the rookie receivers, the fourth thing I don't like about the Raiders is the draft. Your first pick was Henry Ruggs. He was the first wide receiver off the board. He wasn't even the best receiver at Alabama. You had Jerry Jeudy, who was a better player, and I thought a much better prospect. In my eyes, I saw Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb as 1 and 1A, and then Ruggs just on a different level. Now, you had the 12th and the 19th pick. I think if you got Ruggs at 19, I think that would have been decent, but I already established that the quarterback position's up for grabs, and you draft a receiver. Now, keep in mind, part of the allure is that 4.27 speed. But I remember Al Davis used to get blasted for drafting wide receivers that had all this great speed. Now they say he's more than just a deep threat. But, hey, you're not even the number one receiver at Alabama. Now you're the number one receiver for the Raiders. When you're the 12th pick in the draft and you have this much problem at wide receiver, he needs to be the number one wide receiver. Keep in mind, the 4.27 speed's appealing because you look at Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill has Patrick Mahomes. You're not happy with Carr, or else you wouldn't have signed Mariota. So now you draft a receiver with deep speed. Neither one of these quarterbacks, Mariota or Carr's biggest weapon is that deep pass. So I question that. And then you double down with the 19th pick of Damon Arnett, a guy who wasn't even the number one corner at Ohio State. I literally went through thousands of mock drafts. There was maybe 5 or 6 of them that had Arnett going in the first round. I'm talking late first round, 30, 31, 32. Most mock drafts had him going late in the second round, but you draft him at 19 overall. Nobody had that. And this is a big question mark because last year they drafted Clyde Farrell at number 4. Nobody had him going in the top 10. What did he do? 4.5 sacks. So it's questionable whether Ruggs and Arnett should have been drafted, especially Arnett. But again, this is my opinion. I want to hear from you, but I did not like these first 2 draft picks. Now, what they did in the 3rd and 4th round, I really liked. I liked quite a bit. But when you have the 12th and the 19th pick and you miss, when you could potentially miss on both of these, here's the thing about Arnett. You could have traded down 8 to 10 spots and still got him. That's the thing. Even if he's a good player, you could have got something in return. You could have traded down. So I don't like that at all. 5th thing I don't like is the AFC West is tough. The Broncos are better. I'm going to do the Broncos Friday. You can debate whether the Chargers got better or not, but Kansas City last year beat you 28-10 and 40-9. So, I mean, this is a team that's not known for their defense, and they held you to 19 points in 2 games. All right, you lost by a combined 68-19. So the average score was 34 to 9.5. Yeah. The AFC West tough. And then the 6th and final thing I don't like about the Raiders is how you finished 2019. At one point in time, you were 6-4 with 2 road games against the Jets and the Chiefs, and you get blown out by both teams, and then you end up losing 5 out of your last 6. And then the last game in Oakland, the last time you play in Oakland, you play against Jacksonville and lose. Yeah, you were 6-4, you finished 7-9, so that's not good. I always kind of look at how well a team finishes as an indicator to how well they'll do in 2020. So losing 5 out of your last 6, that's a real bad sign. So just to recap all the things I don't like about the Raiders is it's an old saying, if you got two quarterbacks, you don't have any. The youth in free agency on defense, how fast will they gel? The wide receiver youth in a complex West Coast system, a questionable draft. Being in the AFC West is going to be difficult. I mean, if they were in another division, I'd probably give them a better chance to win the division. I think they have zero chance to win the division, but are they going to finish third or fourth? Can they finish second? That's questionable. And then finally, how they finished 2019. So what I say, stick around to the very end where I give the Vegas Raiders the Vegas over-under prediction here. And right now, William Hill and Vegas odds makers have the win total for 2020 as 7.5, which I'm a little surprised at. I'm more surprised that the over is plus 105, which means that if you wager $100, you will win 105. The under is negative 125. So if you want the Raiders to finish under 7.5 wins, you place a bet. You have to wager $125 to win 100. I find both these numbers a little surprising because I really thought it would be maybe 8.5. But the over is plus 105. The under is negative 125. So people are betting the under. I 100% expect the Raiders to finish over 7.5 wins. So I am actually putting action down on the Raiders and I am taking it over. And here's bonus coverage. I actually think the Raiders are going to make the playoffs. I think the Raiders are significantly better this year than last year. I think they have a great coaching staff. I think they have a great front office. I think Gruden and Mayock work fantastic together. And this team went from 4 wins to 7 wins. It's realistic to think that they'll go from 7 to either 9, maybe even 10. I think this team will have a winning record. I actually think that you know what, if you right now William Hill doesn't have playoffs, but I know Westgate it did last year. Now keep in mind I don't have access to the Westgate app due to everything that's going on. I may try to get access, but if you want some side action, take over 7.5 and put a side bet on the Raiders to make the playoffs because I do think this is a playoff team. Surprise, surprise. All right, so listen, don't forget, give me a thumbs up on this video. Share this with your friends. And tomorrow I'm going to break down the Indianapolis Colts. So, hey, have a great day. I will see you tomorrow.